Hello everyone. Last lesson we talked about relative clauses that are used with who, whom, whose, and that. Let's remember we use who and whom only for people, but whose can be used for people or items that have a possession that something belongs to them and we're talking about that something, so we can use whose. Now, this lesson we're going to talk about which and that. Let's see. We use which to define or give extra information about items in the sentences. Those items don't have to be the object of the sentences, but they have to be items. So we can't use which for people. We only use it for items. Look at the examples. The soccer team, the team, not the players, but the team itself, which won the city championship, practiced 3 times a week. Or the soccer team, that won the city championship, practiced 3 times a week. We are talking about the soccer team. That's why we use relative clause right after the team, because we're talking about the team. If we were talking about the city, we would say the soccer team won the city which blah blah blah. If we were talking about city championship, we would say the soccer team won the city championship which. So whatever we're talking about comes right before the relative clause, or just the opposite, we use the relative clause right after whatever we're talking about. Look at the second example. It says, the movie which we watched last night was so exciting that I couldn't sleep for hours. Or the movie that we watched last night was so exciting that I couldn't sleep for hours. We're talking about the movie. That's why the relative clause comes after the movie. If we were talking about last night, right? So we would say the movie we watched last night, which, that would not be correct, but the movie we watched last night was so exciting that I couldn't sleep for hours. If we were talking about hours, we would say which. You get the idea. Moving on. We have a fill-in-the-blanks exercise, which has 7 questions. We're going to fill in the blanks with who, whom, whose, or which. Of course, many of them can be replaced with that. Like, we can replace who with that, whom with that, which with that, not whose. But let's see what we normally use. And also, saying that for people is not very common, right? There are 7 questions. Give yourself 5 minutes and choose the correct word that goes in the blank. Number 1, the months. Because they are months, we're talking about an item, an object. So we say which. The months which have 30 days are April, June, September, and November. Or the months that have 30 days are April, June, September, and November. 2. Philip will meet us at the bus stop. Because we're talking about bus stop, we say which. Philip will meet us at the bus stop, which is on the corner of 23rd Avenue and Main Street. Or Philip will meet us at the bus stop that's on the corner of 23rd Avenue and Main Street. Third one. The supervisor called in the workers. Now, because they're workers, we think we need to use who. But let's take a look at the rest of the sentence. Job performance was less than satisfactory. Whose job performance? Workers' job performance. So then we need to use something that talks about a possession, right? So the supervisor called in the workers whose job performance was less than satisfactory. She gave the other workers the afternoon off. 4. The house which Maria is going to buy has 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The house that Maria is going to buy has 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. 5. Sarah has decided to hire the man. Okay, so it's a man, needs to be who or whom, but it can also be whose. So let's read the rest of the sentence. Has excellent communication skills. So we're talking about it as the person doing it, so not possession. That's why we say who or that. So Sarah has decided to hire the man who has excellent communication skills, or that has excellent communication skills. 6. The person with blah blah blah, we were upset, didn't come to the meeting. So what we can do is that there are 2 techniques, we talked about it. The first one is to look if there are different verbs. And second, we can simply use who, right? So, the person with whom we were upset didn't come to the meeting. Or, the person with whom we were upset didn't come to the meeting. And as we said, whom is formal, whereas in everyday language, many people prefer to use who instead of whom. 7. I've really made a mess of the whole situation. There is nobody. Nobody is a person, right? Not an item. So there's nobody who can help me right now, or there is nobody that can help me right now. Now, there are 13 sentences in this exercise. We are going to combine them, not all 13 to each other, but we're going to okay, there are 13 questions. Each of them has 2 sentences. So for each question, we're going to combine those 2 sentences using the second sentence as the adjective clause. Let's take a look at the first one. It says, Midori served tasty Japanese snacks. We enjoyed them very much. Before we begin, let's remember, relative clause comes after whatever we are talking about, whatever we are defining, whatever we're giving extra information about. So, Midori served tasty Japanese snacks. We enjoyed them very much. We're talking about, in the second sentence, we're talking about them. What is them? It's tasty Japanese snacks, which means we're talking about tasty Japanese snacks, which means we're going to use which after snacks. Like this. Midori served tasty Japanese snacks, which we enjoyed very much. Right? Pause the video here, give yourself minimum 15 minutes, and complete the rest. Now let's take a look at the answers. 2. Robin told the children a story. The story made them laugh. Robin told the children a story which made them laugh. 3. The new computer makes my work easier. I just bought it last week. The new computer which I just bought last week makes my work easier. 4. Julia's husband gave her a beautiful bouquet of roses. He bought it at the flower market. Julia's husband gave her a beautiful bouquet of roses, which he bought at the flower market. 5. Sarah feels sorry for her neighbors. Their car was stolen last night. Sarah feels sorry for her neighbors whose car was stolen last night. 6. We want to do business with that company. Its products are top quality. We want to do business with the company whose products are top quality. 7. The student came to class late every day. Her homework was never done. Whose homework? The student's homework. So the student, whose homework was never done, came to class late every day. 8. I've never met Meg's brother. His wife is the conductor of the symphony orchestra. Whose wife? Meg's brother's wife. And I haven't met him. So, I have never met Meg's brother, whose wife is the conductor of the symphony orchestra. 9. Ellen met a kind man. His parents died when he was very young. Ellen met a kind man whose parents died when he was very young. 10. The Johnsons live in the apartment upstairs. Their son goes to Stanford University. Whose son? The Johnsons' son. So I need to put relative clause after the Johnsons. The Johnsons, whose son goes to Stanford University, live in the apartment upstairs. 11. Sally missed the bus. She usually takes it to work. Sally missed the bus, which she usually takes to work. 12. The teacher gave the students a careful explanation of the homework. It had totally confused them. Now, the thing that confuses the students is the homework, not the explanation, not the careful explanation, not the students. They can't confuse themselves in this situation, and if it were students, we would have said they, and not the teacher. Again, we would have said she or he. So, the teacher gave the students a careful explanation of the homework, which had totally confused them. And 13, Dan enjoyed the play. The play was about an American family in Berlin in the 1980s. We're talking about the play, right? And it's at the end of the first sentence. So we're going to put the relative clause at the end of the first sentence. And we're going to say, Dan enjoyed the play, which was about an American family in Berlin in the 1980s. Now, if these sentences make no sense, or if it's difficult for you to understand where to connect them and how to connect them, you can simply try to translate them into Turkish. Right, let's take a look at the second sentence and translate it together. Robin told the children a story. The story made them laugh. Robin çocuklara bir hikaye anlattı. Hikaye onları güldürdü. O zaman Robin çocuklara onları güldüren bir hikaye anlattı. Now in Turkish, it's the opposite. İngilizce için demiştik ki relative clause bahsettiği şeyin hemen arkasına gelmelidir. Türkçede de relative clause bahsettiği şeyin öncesine gelir. Bak, onları güldüren bir hikaye. Ama İngilizcesinde a story which made them laugh. Çeviri yaparken de eğer relative clause'lu bir cümleyi çeviriyorsak da tersinden başlamamız, özneyi koyduktan sonra tersinden başlamamız daha iyi olur. Mesela Robin çocuklara onları güldüren bir hikaye anlattı. Right? So when we translate them, it makes more sense, or it's easier to understand where to connect them and how to connect them. And, why we connect them. That's all for today, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.